Well, happy Friday evening. We made it to the weekend. Chris Hare, the Crypto Cowboy, bringing you another nightly update. I am a world champion rodeo cowboy, and I'm taking those strategies that we use out there in the arena, bringing them right here to the crypto desk and teaching you guys how to become world champion crypto traders. So stick around. Got a lot of information for you. Got some ideas at the end, so stick around to the end of this video and we'll get to talking about it. But without further ado, let's go on to the charts. We'll start off with the crypto fear and greed index. Currently, we are sitting in fear, guys, and we're just almost to extreme fear, sitting at a 25. Yesterday, I think we were at about a 28. But what I'll tell you, and I tell you this every night, that the best time to buy is when we're in fear. You can see we drop down into fear and we launch out. Didn't make it there. We made it here. We kind of chopped around for a little bit, and then we had another big run. And then back in March, we really hit extreme fear, and that was like excellent time to buy. We just shot out of it, reached new all-time highs. Perfect time to buy. And now we're in fear again. So history doesn't repeat, but it rhymes. And I think it's a good time to buy. I don't think this bull run's over, and we're going to get into the charts, and I'm going to explain why. But to start it off, we're going to get into an alt season index. This tells us a little more about your alts. When we're over here in the blue, the alts are kind of taking their own shape, but when we're in the orange, Bitcoin's driving. What this means is that people have sold their altcoins, they've rolled into Bitcoin. People are buying more Bitcoin than they are altcoins. And so Bitcoin's kind of running the boat right now. When Bitcoin's this strong, the altcoins just kind of follow. When Bitcoin pulls back, the alts bleed, and you kind of get the picture from there. It's been a pretty ugly week since about Friday. Today was another bloody day. Not a great day to trade crypto. But we'll go to a liquidation heat map on Binance for Bitcoin. This is the weekly. So market makers track this liquidity. They draw the charts. All these lines, all these buys and sells are basically the market makers moving the charts. And what they do is track liquidity. And these broader areas of liquidity are what they're going after. So you can see they've came up here. There's a pocket right here, about 106,000. There's a really bright pocket here at about 104,000. Then you move on up. There's some around 111, on up to about 114. But cumulative totals, we've got about $4 billion in short liquidations to the top side. So all these are shorts. They can see where your liquidation points and they come after. So that's basically how they make their money. Our job is to figure out where they're going and stay ahead of them. If you go to the downside here, in long liquidations, we got about 992 long liquidations. You can see they're piling in since we've kind of had this little bounce. Understandable, but yeah, there's there's a big imbalance. There's more to the top side than there is the bottom side. But let's get into the charts. I want to explain what I see. Like I said, I'm really not optimistic that this bull run is over. I'm about 40% on it. There's a couple of places that we need to reclaim, and then we can have a deeper conversation about that. But we're in a big weekly correction. We hit all-time highs 1, 2, or 3 times. And what you have to keep in mind is weekly corrections are going to be bigger than daily corrections. And we don't get big weekly corrections very often. We got the last one right there around December and January, and we all know how bloody that was. And I kind of think that's where we are right now. What I'm optimistic about is I've got some trend lines here. And Bitcoin has respected it all the way through the bull run. You can see we've got a 50 moving average here. This is, it takes 50 of these candles here, and it creates a fluid line on your chart. And this works as really, really strong support and resistance. And it's going to line up right in this daily golden zone or weekly golden zone, somewhere around $90,000. I really think that's where it wants to go. If you put a time frame on this, it would kind of angle down this way, and that puts us right at the bottom of the line. And you can see the 786 is around $85,000. Really likes to respect these. You can see the whole bull run we have. And I think if we kind of zoom this chart out, yeah, you can see sometimes we drop below it, but we reclaim it right away. This was the horrible pullback from back into March. This was actually 2022, and we lost it there. But once we reclaimed it, we haven't gone back below it. So like I said, I think if we were going to go below it, then we have some concerns, then we have some questions. Your next line of support would probably be around 46,000. That's a conversation I don't even want to begin to have right now. But let's go to the daily. It's going to give us a better idea of what's going on in the shorter term. And I think you'll see what I see and understand. We're bullish. the way we're falling out of this is creating a bull flag. Bull flags are historic for breaking to the upside. They don't usually break to the bottom side. So I'm going to zoom this out just a little more so we can take a look at where we've been since probably last Friday. You can see we took that big dump and put in a huge wick on that Friday when everything just went down to about 101,000. And we reclaimed that pretty quick, but it didn't have a lot of, everybody's scared, so nobody's buying. So it sold off really quick. The 50 moving average was lost. We came up, tried to reclaim it, failed, dropped back down into this daily golden zone. And you can see we've got a green candle. We're trying to reclaim some things here. What I would want to see to become bullish from here is we really need to reclaim this 50 moving average. I leave a red line on my chart and I'll mark it because when you drop down into the lower time frames, you can always see it and it explains it to you a little better. If we can reclaim this 50 moving average at around $113,000, our next step would be these two orange lines here. As long as it's in the middle, I don't really like to trade it because it chops around. Once we reclaim one of those, I would be interested then. Your golden zone to the top side is around $119,000, and if you reclaim that, $137,000 would be your next target. But I don't think that's where we're headed just yet. I think this is probably a retest at best to the top of the channel. If we break out of this channel, your next checkpoint would, like I said, would be the 50 moving average. Rolling down into the 4 hour, give you a better idea of what's going on. Let me go back to the daily because we didn't talk about these downside targets enough, I don't think. But we'll go back to the daily here. Give it a minute to load. Had a great day in Texas today. It's 80 degrees, sunny. Nice day. But we've lost this 50 moving average. We're in the daily golden zone. So if you're not trading, this is a place where I kind of sit out. But what I think is if we reject right around 108,000, this is a 200 moving average. It takes 200 of these candles and puts a fluid line on the chart. That's your next support and resistance, and it falls right about $98,000. We could bounce there. We could go lower. That's where I'm going to start getting interested. But if we lose that, like I said, that weekly golden zone down there around $88,000, $90,000, it also falls in the daily extensions. So that would be our next stop. So that gives you a good idea on Bitcoin. I don't think all hope is lost. I think shorter term, we're going to see a little more blood in the market. But if we know that and we can plan for it on the other end, we're doing good. Let me fix that. I drug that line off a bit. Okay, 4 hour chart on Bitcoin. Let's take a look. You can see you have a better idea of what this descending channel looks like. And descending channels really like to break to the upside. Like I said, what I would want to see before I'd really be interested in the long. You can see the 786 is about 108,000. We need to reclaim that, break out of this descending channel, and then claim the next high, which puts us right in this little extension that I've got. It's just basically a swing high to swing low off of this very small move here. That's around 111,000. Your 50 moving average would be right in that area about the same time. So you'd want to reclaim that and the 50 moving average. That's a lot of resistance above us. So my inclination is saying that we're not ready to do that yet. We've probably got one more downside back down to around $100,000 before we get any kind of significant bounce, if that makes sense. We've took such a beating that these things they're going to take time to build in structure, and it's going to take time to build to the upside. And you got to think, there's a lot of people that lost a lot of money 7 days ago. And so they're not in the market. They're not here to buy right now. So it's just going to be a slow, miserable, dreaded whatever to get to that point. There was a daily head and shoulders on there on the daily chart. I didn't have it marked in the video, but it's there. That's going to target around that $101,000. So that makes me a little more optimistic. I really think that's where we're going to head in the shorter term time frames. That gives you an idea on Bitcoin. We're going to move on to Ethereum tonight. I do post all of these charts in the crypto school. You'll find the links to that in my description. Tons of great coaches. I post signals there. Posted some on these shorts. They've paid out really well to a lot of guys, but then, there's great coaches there that want to teach. Really good people to hang out with. Come check it out. You'll find the link to that in my description. Going on to the liquidation heat map for Ethereum. I've gone out to the weekly so we can get a better idea. There's just not a lot of liquidity on the 24-hour heat map. So here we are. I think that we've came after a pocket of liquidity right here. You can see we're kind of getting rejected now. There's a pocket right here around $3,920. And time will tell if we go after that now. But you can see there's been a lot of a lot of longs pile in, and that's what the market makers are after. I think they're going to keep the upside stifled for now, because when you get big buying and people think that they're starting to have a run, I think they have a harder time pushing that price down, and they wait for volume drops. And like I said last night, starting about noon today, volume drops and it stays down through the weekend because markets are closed and people are doing weekend things. People don't trade because, you know, markets are closed. So I think that's probably what happens. If they want to push it down, this is a great opportunity to do some kind of violent push down, or we may just chop up and maybe pull back on Saturday or Sunday. Who knows? But that's kind of where I'm at right now. But if we look at cumulative liquidations, you're about 1.3 billion in short liquidations to the top side, and you're about 619 billion to the bottom side. So they may want to come after and get some of this liquidity, let some more longs pile up before they try to push this thing down again. Or we may just run, and that's definitely an option right here too. I'm just not as confident in it. But we'll look at Ethereum on a weekly chart. We'll start there. Pull it up. Go ahead and reset this chart view so it makes sense. All right, drag this down. Now we've got a better view. I'm going to do a little adjustment here and lay this out so we can see it a little better. And there we go. It's kind of the same thing as Bitcoin. I have this gone ahead and drawn out here because I'm pretty optimistic that that's what's going on. We're in this bull flag. These are bullish. Like I said, you don't usually drop out of them, maybe 10% of the time. So that's where I'm at with that. I really have a lot of hope in this. But if you follow Elliott wave theory, I think we're putting in a really big wave one is what it boils down to. There's a video in my list of educational videos that will address that more. I'm not going to get technical right now. But we've got a weekly bull flag forming, which is really optimistic. Your weekly golden zone sits around $3,200. The 50's lining up to fall right in that place. I really think that's where it wants to go. Minimum retracements are around the 382 to 618. That lines up. If you lose that, $2,400 would probably be around your next target. The 200 smooth moving average is down there as well. So that's kind of where I'm at. But if we can reclaim this, take control of it, which I think is what's going to happen, we've got a pretty big move setting up for the upside, guys. And I don't think $10,000 to $12,000 would be out of the question. Moving on to the daily. Here we go. I'll adjust this down. A few more lines on this chart, but they're relevant to what we're going on. I have pulled a fib off of swing high to swing low here because I wanted to see what was going on with this move and kind of understand it a little better. But we're in this descending channel that you saw on the other charts, and we've lost the 50 moving average. So right now we're bearish, guys. I think we may try to retest it, maybe somewhere around $3,890. I kind of feel like that's what it's trying to do here. You can see there's probably a wick on that we're kind of pulling off of it now. But without reclaiming that, I think you're rejected and you're headed on down to the bottom side of this channel again. We may just kind of chop around this weekend and then go ahead and drop down to it. I would be looking for a target somewhere around $3,000, $3,100 that falls in your daily golden zone, right around $2,950. So I think that's a really good target. If we move on up here and we reclaim this 50 moving average, I would want to close above this orange line here at about $4,000, and then your golden zones to the upside are going to fall in here about $4,500. If you can reclaim that, you've broken out of your descending channel. That's a bullish move, and you're going to be looking at about $5,600, $5,700. So that gives you an idea of both ways on Ethereum on the 4-hour or the daily. I'm sorry, we're going to break this down to the 4-hour to get a little better understanding. Got a few more lines here, so I'll open this up, kind of zoom it in so we can really see and understand what's going on. All right, same descending channel. We're still working through it. You can see we've came up to the golden zone off of this last move from swing high to swing low. So this is where my area of interest. If we can break out of this, then I think we've got to move to the upside brewing. I would want to reclaim this 50 moving average before I took any longs. And then, like I said, we're targeting up to around $4,500. It does look like it's rejecting here, so I'm not confident in this move. Like I said, next moves would be target around $3,440. That feels about about 70% of that wick. And that would be also a good place for us to consider longs or some kind of bounce shorter term. But anyway, that gives you a really good idea on what's going on the charts. I think it's pretty simple. It's pretty cut and dry. I haven't had to do a lot of changes. We're still keeping that momentum. I'm going to tell you something that happened that really sucked just now, right before I did this video. Somehow I closed out of all my shorts. I'm completely risk off right now, and I don't know what happened, so I'm kind of freaking out about it. But it's not a big deal. I'll wait on this retest, and when it happens, I'll jump in a short. I'll inform you guys when I do. Some of you guys that maybe missed the early short, we can all jump in together, and I'll kind of help you guys track it on the way down, tell you when I'm taking profits, what I'm doing. But yeah, I think that gives you a good idea. The biggest thing right now, guys, is to stay vigilant, stay smart, use lower leverage, because this thing could chop around. You never know when it's going to happen. I would use lower leverage if you're trading. You only use 1 to 2% of your trading bag. That gives you, so if you have $1,000 in your trading bag, say, that gives you what, 100 chances at $100 to get it right. Now, well, it gives you, yeah, anyway, the math, you can do the math. I'm not great at math. I'm good at charts. That's why I'm here. But anyway, that gets you a little confusing, but I hope you enjoyed the video tonight. If you really enjoyed it, go ahead and hit the like, hit the subscribe, tap that bell notification. You'll get notifications as soon as we upload a video. And don't forget, I have my other socials there. There's a sweet link for BitUnex. You'll find the link to the crypto school there. But I'm going to wrap this up, get it online for you guys so you know what's going on. I've said enough already. I'm Chris Hare, the world champion crypto cowboy, and we'll see you down the road.